I took a trip to my local yarn shop, Babette's, and I thought I'd bring you guys along to show you how wonderful this local yarn shop is. I absolutely just love it. So when you first walk in, you see this Sidar cotton. These are such cute little bundles, and I think these are for amigurumi, which I'm just starting to get into. So I thought it was kind of cool. You could get all these different types of colors, and they actually felt pretty good for cotton, really, for amigurumi cotton, I guess. And then they had another brand here, the Katya, 100% cotton, little bonbons or whatever you want to call these. And they had these in like sets, so you could get a couple of different color combinations. So I thought that was kind of cool. So they're all kind of pre-curated for you in bolds and brights and some pastels and neutrals. So that was kind of cool. The shop also has a lot of kits throughout the place, so on the top of the aisles. And you can get these kits which are purchased with everything all put together, and Babette's also put some together themselves. Now I thought these sparkly yarns were just beautiful. I'd never seen something like this before. Looks like it's kind of probably a fingering weight, but they're really cute. Now here's some more fingering weight. These were, I believe, Smooshy Cashmere, I think. And they were in sets already, and it was just beautiful, the combinations that they put together. Yeah, it's Super Rush Merino, and it looks like nylon. And really soft, really bright, colorful combinations. I loved them. Now, there are a lot of tools here at the shop. This is only one side of an aisle of tools, and pretty much anything you could need. Here we have a lot of knitting tools. These are the Knitter's Pride. We had clovers. We had some, I know there were some Likes, maybe on the other side, ChiaoGus, just tons of them. Here's some straight needles. And then I think we get into some DPNs. So a lot of different variety of knitting tools. So it was pretty cool. And then the other side of the shelf is a lot of crochet. So we'll look at that here in a minute. Now these I hadn't seen before. These are by ChiaoGu, 24-inch, and they're looking at like these really large like crochet type of needles, and they were just fascinating. Look at that, a size R, size Q. So I'm not sure exactly what you'd use that for, how big of a yarn, but I thought they were really neat, and I like the pointy tips to them, so you can really kind of be able to get in between your stitches. Now here's all the crochet hooks. Tons of different brands. They have the Clover Amours and just a whole bunch of things. They didn't have tulips though. Here I kind of found some of these blocking mats. These were by Knitter's Pride, the Mindful collection. Thought they were really cute. Here's the other side of that aisle. We have more knitting needles that were next to all the crochet stuff. Here's some Notions by Knitter's Pride, the Mindful collection. They had a smaller section of the crochet. Most of it was the knitting needles, but pretty much anything you would need you'd be able to find. Here's some fixed circulars from the Mindful collection. I have a few of those, and I really like them. They're the lace needles, so they're kind of the lace tips. And then they also have the interchangeable individual needles that you can purchase if you need to complete a set, or you have an extra maybe pair that's a popular size. And the prices were really good. So here you see those. We had some Hiya-Hiyas. These are the Hiya-Hiya Sharps. These were also the fixed ones. And don't see the brand on these, but just so many tools. And then we have a bunch of the bags on the bottom, the storage containers and storage bags, and pattern storage, and some amigurumi. This is a beautiful sample I saw. This shop has a lot of samples, which is always nice because you can see how a particular yarn is worked up. And here I have a lot of this style. Now here's a little shot where you can just see how big the store is. There are horizontal shelves to the right and a bunch of vertical shelves to the left. And what are we looking at here? Oh, these were cute. These were the Sidar Stories. Not a brand I was familiar with, but they felt okay. And I really liked the colors. Here you have a cotton and acrylic blend. Shade is, was that Sunglasses? Interesting. But they had a lot of beautiful, bright rainbow colors here. They're just lovely. And although I didn't show it in the video, behind this wall here of yarn is an entire area of clearance yarn, which is also wonderful. Now here we get into some sock yarn. This is the Malabrigo sock yarn, and I'm gonna just warn you right away, Malabrigo is probably my favorite premium yarn, and I found all of it I could in the store to show you. And this sock yarn felt fantastic. You can see some of the information on that. It is a fingering weight, and it was just lovely, just beautiful. I like to pretend I'm going to learn to knit socks. I'm not anywhere close to there, but there we are. Now here's one of the many crochet samples they have in the store. And the store was really inviting to crocheters. I find oftentimes that local yarn shops are, look at that pattern, so beautiful, are really more like pushing knitting, but this shop was really good about pushing both. Now they had a really big selection of this Plymouth Encore yarn, and I believe that the Plymouth yarn is kind of considered the more value yarn for local yarn stores, but it's lovely to work with. I have worked with it before, and I really do like it, and the colors you can get are just wonderful, and it feels good. It's one of the yarns my mom likes a lot. Here I found this Gryffindor Harry Potter scarf made out of the Plymouth yarn, and it felt really good. Here's another little span of more of the colors. And then there were, behind these, or next to these cakes, there are more colors. So just an endless variety. Now this I found is this sample. I believe it's also crocheted. It was really pretty. And although it didn't have a tag that said what yarn it was, it's hanging off of the Plymouth yarn section. So I'm assuming it's the Plymouth yarn. Now here was the first of the vertical aisles. I wanted to show just how much yarn is down one of these vertical aisles. And mind you, there's a horizontal section of aisles behind me. So here we're looking at the Jamieson's Shetland. Really pretty. I liked this color a lot. Now this didn't feel quite as soft as some of the other yarns, but it was really pretty. Now this right here is one of the things that inspires me to want to learn to knit with all my knitting equipment. This pattern was so beautiful. I was like, yes, I need to learn to knit. Now this is a beautiful shawl. It is made with mohair, and if you can see these stitches, just look at that. It's just gorgeous, but it's so light and so fine. And here you can see some of the mohair. This is a beautiful color. I would not even begin to know how to work with mohair, but it's so gorgeous. I really loved this color. And they actually had an entire aisle of the mohair. Look at this. So pretty, right? Lovely, lovely. And here we're going to have a nice scan. All this whole aisle is mohair. Can you imagine? And we have more samples. Look at the fine stitching on that. Stitches are just beautiful. Some more colors, another brand. Those hanks were just gorgeous. I really liked this stitch pattern. I thought this was amazing. And then we've seen this stitch pattern before, but it was a little bit smaller gauge. Just lovely. So for all of you that can work with mohair, I'm enamored by you. Now this pattern was really interesting on here. This yarn seemed to have little bits of fabric in it, and I looked all over the store and couldn't find that yarn, but I loved it. Look at this. Here's another example that says, learn to knit, learn to knit. Isn't that beautiful? Just gorgeous. And then they had a lovely shawl. So here is an example of one of the kits that the store puts together themselves. It's for a slouchy hat. And they just put the yarn and the instructions in there. They did have a sample of the hat, but they didn't have it with these bags. I found some more Malabrigo. This is the Ultimate Sock yarn. And it was really nice. It felt great. It's a fingering weight as well. So, like I said, I imagine I'm going to make socks. So, we'll see. A couple of years from now, if I ever get there. Now, here was some nice cashmere. Felt good. They had a Nice little selection of the cashmere as well to choose from. It wasn't as big as the rest though. I'm panning here a section in the front with more tools. These here were all of their sets. So you get a lot of the crochet sets, and here we're looking at some of the cords that go with interchangeables. This was the Lantern Moon. Here is a set of crochet hooks that were really pretty. Some Lantern Moon bags. This is actually a measuring tape, and I have one in blue at home. And we have some fun goodies here, some notions. I think I'll come back and we'll look at that again later. So those were empty cases that you can store things in from Lantern Moon. Some Knitter's Pride. So this end of the table has the goodies. Oh, yep, believe it or not, I found more. You guessed it, Malabrigo. This is the Rios yarn. I do have a bunch of the Rios yarn at home. I love it. I love the way it feels. I love the way it looks. I love everything about it. So pretty, and they have so many options to choose from in the colors. It's not just a few skeins. There's like a lot of skeins, and I just love the vibrancy of it. I really loved this one. If there were 2 of them, I would have bought them. So pretty. Squish, squish, just love it. Here's aisle number 2. Look at all this yarn. It's just so amazing. And we are looking here at the Mohair by Malabrigo. I did not actually know that they had a mohair collection, so I was kind of excited to see this. Felt lovely. The colors were beautiful. Silky Merino. This was really pretty. And I will say I did buy some of this. I didn't walk out empty-handed. And let's see, what are the colors I got here? I think I'll show it in a minute. So many beautiful colors. Just look at these. That's a nice one. Pretty, pretty. So I did get this blue, and then the green that's right next to it. Not that green, but the green in the middle. I did pick up some of those 2 colors. Almost got that one. Now these were really nice. This is by Knitted Wit, and it felt really great. It is also a superwash merino. I think I might go back and get some of those. Those felt really, really nice. Look at all the amazing color combinations there. Can you imagine making some socks out of this or something, or a scarf or a cowl? It would just be beautiful. What do we have here? Oh, I know what this was. This was lovely as well. So this here was Variations yarn. And they had this in a bunch of colors too. And I believe that red is not showing up as well as it did in real life. But it was just a really lovely, lovely, lovely red. That pink was pretty too. I can't obviously show you every yarn at the store. I'm just kind of picking some favorites or some things that caught my eye. Now here's a pair of socks made out of the Plymouth yarns. And I really like that sample. I think it was a nice demonstration of the sock yarn. Here we have a whole aisle of sock yarn, or a whole section here of sock yarn, all of this, which is kind of nice. You have a big variety. I thought these Rowans were interesting. This is alpaca. Felt nice. And this is Snuggly yarn. Snuggly, Sidar Snuggly. I don't know if you use this for sock or not, but it was right there in the same aisle, so I had to look. Now these skeins were adorable. Aren't they cute? That is sock yarn. That is super wash. And they felt nice, but the skeins were just these cute little bitty skeins. I thought they were adorable. And they had a bunch of colors of those too. Some neutrals, some brights, some vibrants. But look at those. Here we have the stripes, or the like colored, very, what do you call that? I can't even think right now. But they were beautiful. Virgin wool. Again, so cute. More of the variegated, that's the word I was looking for. Now this was surprisingly nice. This is the Barocco Vintage sock. And they're larger skeins, but you can obviously don't have to just make socks out of them, but they felt, the fiber felt so nice. I really think I want to do something with this. It's acrylic and wool and nylon. I like that blue next to there. Here's some more pretty colors. A lot of options in this particular brand. Look at those. So pretty. Squish, squish. Could not help squishing the yarn. It was so nice. There was a little sample made out of this sock yarn that I just moved out of the way. So obviously you can make anything you want out of it, but a lot of options. Now this was really pretty. I think this was a Plymouth as well, was it? This was butter. I kind of regret not having got this. It is that merino? So pretty. Firecracker. This was a nice red. I don't know why I'm looking at all the reds, but it was so pretty. Here is aisle number 3. Was this the baby yarn? Not sure. We'll find out in a minute. Oh, yes, it was. Here's the Siddar's Snuggly. And this actually was pretty soft, too. There's the Plymouth. This felt good. And there was a lot of options in this baby yarn. That is a pretty solid right there. Beautiful. Plymouth. Got a whole aisle here. All of that is baby yarn. All of it. Here is more of the Plymouth Merino Superwash. That's a pretty reasonable price too. That's kind of a coral color. It was really nice. Some of the specks on there. Squish. Gotta squish the yarn. We had a lot of color options on these ones as well. So nice. Looks like it just goes on and on. More of that butter yellow. I like the teal too. And that's a really nice pink. Now here was one I almost got. I'm gonna have to go back for that one too. That one was gorgeous. The collage, the Super Merino Wash collage. Don't worry, I will pick up the one I dropped. I'm a nice shopper. I always make sure to leave things, if not as I found them, better than I found them. I think retail people appreciate that. Here we are looking at, I believe it's a Noro. Yes, it is. They had a large selection of Noro yarn. Not a fan personally of the Noro. I tend to find it to be kind of rough. I wouldn't be surprised to find a stick or a twig in there sometimes, I say, but I don't think you ever would. That's just a joke. But it's just the nature of some of the yarn I've experienced. But some of the stuff actually was really nice feeling, even if I'm not a big Noro yarn fan. Isn't it pretty though? Just lovely. Gorgeous hanks right there. And here are some kind of like heathered solids in the Noro. And there was a hat up there that they stitched with it. I thought it came out really nice. So if you're a big Noro fan, they have a lot of Noro there. Here's the next aisle. This is past the Noro a little bit. The Noro is now behind us. So it didn't quite show the whole aisle. And I liked this right here. It was kind of lofty. Is this the Juniper Farms, Juniper Moon Farms? Let's see. It is the Juniper Moon Farms. I hadn't heard of this prior to my experience here at this shop. It is 100% alpaca, and it is really squishable. It's kind of lofty, and I really thought it felt great. And they had a lot of color choices, I thought. Here's some more, is that Barocco? Here's the Ultra Wool. Now for wool, this was surprisingly nice to feel. I would absolutely wear this against the skin. It felt really, really nice. And I like the colors on here. Look at all of these. And I thought they had a good selection of colors. And then here are some of the variegated. More solids. Aren't those pretty? So you definitely would find a color combination. Here is a crocheted sample using those. And I thought it felt pretty good. I mean, you know, for wool, I thought it was really nice. I would definitely, like I said, wear it up against my skin. Here is the Rios yarn by Malabrigo. I also do own quite a bit of the Rios yarn. I think in that color, maybe. I think it might be water green or something like that. Or cucumber. I'm not sure. Can't remember. But they had a lot of color choices on here as well. And I like that this particular store carries enough of a color. You go in and, you know, you want to buy a sweater quantity, you know, 5, 6 skeins. You generally have the ability to do that in most of these colors. Babetta brings in enough that you could. That's the color I have right there. Yeah, water green. Or at least one of the colors. I think I also have a Valentina. A couple others. That gold is pretty. Ooh, that tangerine kind of color down there is really nice. Oh, here's the washed. It just basically has that sort of look to it there where it almost looks a little washed. It's nice. And again, lots and lots of color choices in the washed. Looks like a mustard there in the middle. Pretty, pretty. And here's all the section of the Rios and the washed. All right, I think we're going to go down the next aisle. Oh no, we found more Malabrigo. This is the, is it the Mecca? That felt great too. I haven't used the Mecca before. If you have, comment below how you liked it. Pretty colors. Wow. So here is this the 4th aisle, I think? Maybe? Here's some Wool and the Gang. This is a tape yarn, which I had not really had any experience with before. It's a pretty color there, though. They didn't have a whole lot of that. Here's some cotton cashmere. That felt all right. Some of the information on there. 15% cashmere. They had a little selection of these. Still enough to do plenty with. Here's more Plymouth yarn. This was the Encore Chunky. I've been using quite a bit of chunky yarn lately. I don't know, just kind of gotten into it a bit. Kind of like using it. Pretty combination of colors here. Most of the yarn that Babetta brings in, she brings in a wide variety. Something for every taste. And that's a nice color. Let's look at the specs here. 25% wool, 75% acrylic. Thought the price was right. Very nice. This was really pretty. I should have got some of this. Baby Blossom Chunky. Isn't that cute? Nice yarn. Acrylic, 70%. Oh, nice fingers in the way there. Sorry. Oh, this is pretty too. Kind of reminds me of the Premier Bloom. At least on the skein. Here is the, how do you pronounce that? Caracol? I have not heard of this yarn. It is also a Malabrigo. If you have used that, I would love to hear what you think about it. I'm not really sure how much I liked this one though. The colors were not to my taste or the way they put it together, but this yarn here is nice. The Nova? No, that wasn't a Nova. I missed what it said. This is also a new yarn for me. Here's the Rasta. Now I do have a little bit of the Rasta yarn. It is a roving yarn. It's a chunky roving yarn. But I do have a little bit of this. Wasn't sure what I wanted to make with it, but I have a couple of skeins. Look how thick that is. And roving yarn is, I believe they call it like unplied. I love working with roving yarn. It's probably my favorite to work with. It can be a little, you gotta be a little careful with it. If you pull too hard, it can like break the strand, but I love working with it. Look at how beautiful that is. I don't know how much I like this particular stitch, but I do like the yarn. Now here's some Encore Mega. It's another Plymouth yarn, and I really liked how it felt. It's also a chunky yarn, and when I squished this and was touching this, it just made me like want to have to buy a bunch and make a blanket out of it. That felt so nice. I loved it. I loved it. I will definitely be going back and buying something to make a throw with this. And they had a nice little selection of those. And I love that they have some, you know, more economical yarn as well as some of the pricier yarns. So you could really, you know, whatever your project or taste or budget accounted for, you can find something. Now here is a display of more of the knitting needles. These are the Chiaogus. How do you pronounce that? Chiaogu? And then the Chiaogu twist down there. I do have Chiaogu. They're one of my favorites. These are the Lantern Moon single point needles. Haven't tried those, but they looked really nice. And these are not missing. They just kind of came out of their holders and they're there in the box. DPNs. There's some interchangeables. Here we have some Knitter's Pride. Those are pretty. And more of the Chiaogus. Likeys. Oh, I found a whole display, a whole row of sparkly yarn. All these little twinkle twinkles. Isn't that pretty? Mohair Splash. I'm terrified to work with mohair, but boy, is that pretty. And look at this shawl. You can't really see the sparklies really well, but the sequins are in there. How cool is that? This was beautiful. By Tiara. Oops. Don't worry, folks. I'll pick that one up too. That color was awesome. It actually looked better in the store than it does on camera, but that was a beautiful color. I thought these were really interesting. They're the Sidar Moonstone, and they actually have beads on the strands. I really would love to know how they did that, or what the manufacturing process is to get all those on. Beautiful, beautiful. I need to go back and get some of that too. I need to get all the stuff. I need the stuff. Here are some samples of some of the swivel cords, the Lantern Moon swivel cords. And empty container. And here we have another one that is, those right there, that's an empty container for your Tunisian. No, actually that is a Tunisian hook set. I have that hook set. I haven't tried the Tunisian hooks yet, but I really want to. So I have a whole set to try out. Those are crochet hooks, wooden crochet hooks by Lantern Moon. I would love to try those out. I have that set. Those are the Clover set, I believe, by Amore. They're one of my favorite crochet hooks. Interchangeable cords. Now, the interesting thing about the Knitter's Pride is that these interchangeable cords that you can get to go with your interchangeable needle sets can be used in the Lantern Moon as well. So they are interchangeable. So I think they have the same parent company. So yeah, these are the, I'm showing you the Tunisian hooks I have, and I've actually used both cords on those. Even though I haven't actually crocheted anything with those Tunisian hooks, I did try the cords on them because I had heard that and I wanted to see. So, which is nice because you can kind of pick what you like. And here we have an interchangeable needle set. Lantern Moon's interchangeable needle set. These are some shawl pins. I'm not exactly sure what the technical name is, but you can use them to hold your shawl closed. And that's just a little bucket for your balled up yarn. Some blocking pins. This was a cute little novelty. There are a pair of scissors in there. I don't know why I thought that bag was so interesting, but I really liked that little bag. I didn't buy it, but I thought it was just adorable. Cute, cute. This is a nice set of the Knitter's Pride. I believe it was a limited edition set. Has all the interchangeables in there. Very nice. There's a whole rack here. These are all the interchangeables. These are the Chiagus. These are the shorties. They have all 3 sets of the shorties there. I also have 2 of the sets. I don't have the yellow set, but I have the red and the blue. These are the carbons. A lot of people really like those. Here's your Mindful series. I do have a couple of these that I was given by a good friend of mine. I have that set there, and I think I also have the Magic Loop fixed needle sock set. Are these the 5-inch? I think it's the 5-inch I have. It's this set here, the 5-inch interchangeable. I also have a 4-inch interchangeable. Here's some Chiago twists. I will tell you I have a set of those too. My friend was generous. She can no longer knit because of her hands, and she gave me all her tools. So those are nice. You see some Hayas. Those are Knitter's Pride Zings. Likeys. That's a whole set of Likeys there, so you can get a whole set. Knitter's Pride Dreams. A lot of people like those. There's some amigurumi. And these here are some stitch markers, because you got to have some stitch markers if you're going to do that. Those are pretty. Pretty, pretty, pretty. These are for knitting though. These aren't necessarily for crocheting. These are for knitting. And there you go.